Hello explorers, never been to a Comic Con before, not sure where to start? Then this video is for you. The short version is all you need is a ticket, some money, and a willingness to get out there and enjoy a convention. To maximise your fun, I'm going to do my top 10 tips, there'll be some anecdotes, and even a load of quick-fire bonus tips right at the end. Where to start, pick a Comic Con, and then do some research. Doesn't sound exciting, but it will definitely pay off. Do some Googling, read event websites, go on Reddit, Facebook groups, ask other previous convention attendees what they thought, and probably best of all, go on YouTube, watch some videos of those conventions you like the look of, see if they're any good, and maybe just start on my YouTube channel and watch a load of my convention videos. They're probably the best ones. And what kind of Comic Con do you want to go to? Most conventions are very broadly pop culture based. There's lots of specialised ones. You can find ones that are focused just on comics out there. I mean, my first conventions were Transforce and Auto Assembly in London and Birmingham, and those were just straight up Transformers conventions. Other things to consider: do you want a really big convention? Do you want something a bit smaller? Is the convention new, or is it really well established? If it's new, do you trust the organiser? Do a bit of research on them. You don't want to turn up and find that the convention isn't even happening or it's a disaster. The location's really important. Can you get there? Can you afford to get there? What's the cost? What's the date? Are you even available for it? Then the convention itself. Who are the guests? Are they doing panels, signings, photos? What stalls are going to be there? Are there any activities? What can you do at the convention? So much to consider, so that's why you need to research. You know where you're going, but who are you going with? Are you going to go in a group? Going to go on your own? I do both. I've been on my own a bunch of times. If you feel nervous about that, you really shouldn't be. When I walk around, no one really pays me much attention, which in some ways is a bit annoying because I'd like them to come up and say they love my videos and they're a subscriber. There's plenty of benefits to going solo. You're totally in charge of your day, can do what you want, plan your day however you like. You don't need to compromise with anyone or negotiate for that one panel you really want to see but no one else wants to watch. Or maybe you want to Avengers assemble it and gather up a bunch of friends. This works great. I'd say still keep a group small. 3-4 people is far more manageable than a great big herd of 20 people. Group selected. Now what? Tickets. That's what. Get your tickets. Don't delay on this. As soon as you know where you want to go, buy your ticket straight away. Conventions do sell out, some quicker than others, some you can buy right up till the day, but it's not worth taking the chance. If you know you can go and you want to go, buy your ticket. Think about which ticket you want to buy. Is it a day ticket, a weekend ticket, just one specific day? If it's 3 days like one of the big London conventions, Friday is normally the quietest day. Saturday is very likely to sell out and will be packed out. Can be a bit tough to get around. We'll cover this in a bit more detail later on. Sunday is a bit in between Fridays and Saturdays. So even on days in London when it's said it's sold out on Sunday, it's been a lot quieter. I think it's because people are hungover and it takes them a while to get out of bed, but it will pick up. And Sundays can be quite busy in the back half of the day. There's all sorts of ticket types to consider as well. Do you want priority or general entry? Sometimes there'll be VIP tickets as well. These can vary greatly in quality. Sometimes it'll be a bag of tat, sometimes it'll be a bag of good stuff, and sometimes it'll be really expensive and it'll include all sorts of meet and greets and things like that. I don't tend to bother with the high-end tickets. I would always say though, if it comes down to you for just either general entry or priority, go priority. There's nothing worse than having to queue outside while everyone else is enjoying the convention. Also, from general entry onwards, that's generally the busiest time on the convention floor and it's the hardest time to negotiate and get round and enjoy yourself. Once people have had lunch, they kind of do a bit of final shopping and then leave. So the last few hours are also quite nice to walk around the convention floor and do your shopping and enjoy yourself. That's not the end of this section. Just because you've bought your ticket, you also need to put it somewhere. Lots of conventions have terrible Wi-Fi, so you might not be able to rely on just downloading it on the day. Save it to your phone, save it to your tablet, email it to your friend. Just make sure you can find that ticket on the day of your convention. Next section is about fitness. Now, I'm not saying go down the gym or do loads of weights or anything like that, but conventions, they can be really big. Sometimes you do loads of walking. London, I've clocked up about 35,000 steps. That's about 10 to 15 miles. It can be really tiring. If the prospect of walking a load doesn't thrill you with excitement, probably worth going out for a couple of walks around your local park, spend a day having a wander around, get some lunch. Just get yourself to a point where you feel happy at the idea, or you don't need to be happy about it, but confident that you don't mind being on your feet all day. Wear something comfortable. You don't want to get a load of blisters or be really uncomfortable all day. I just wear everyday trainers and they're really comfy. Or if it's summer, then I'll just wear some sandals. Plan, plan, plan. Organisation is the key to success. It will help make sure you have a great day. Check the convention website. Is there a map? Have they announced all the panel times? You don't want to organise something and then find you've actually got a clash and you can't get to it. It's really good to look at all the schedules. As I've mentioned, I don't do photos or celebrity meet and greets or any of that stuff, but I really like all the panels, so I sit down, make a list. Sometimes bigger conventions have apps as well, which make that really easy. Definitely do lots of planning, not just for when you're in the convention, but also pre-convention. Do you know how to get to the convention? Where is it? What transport do you need? Google Maps, Apple Maps, both are really good for figuring out local transport. I've used Apple Maps loads to figure out bus, train, underground routes. Very, very useful. If you're worried about getting to the convention once you're off your public transport, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Really popular conventions will probably have tons of people going there. For example, again, Wales, when I got off the train, there was a huge pile of people all heading in the same direction. So everyone just kind of followed everyone else. Fortunately, everyone knew where they were going, so made it fine. It's also worth looking at the host locations website. They'll have a floor plan of their building. Some places like the NEC in Birmingham, the actual convention centre is just a huge maze, so it might be worth figuring out where you need to go once you're in there, because it can be pretty confusing even when there's lots of other people walking around. Are there going to be cash points, water fountains, toilets, where are the bathrooms? Always worth checking all of these things. Is the building going to be accessible for you? Are you going to be able to get around fine? A vital ingredient of a convention is having some money with you. Are you going to take cash? Are you going to take card? In the pandemic world that we live in, I hardly ever carry cash anymore, but you definitely need some. Disaster struck in the run-up to Wales Comic Con for me. I thought I'd lost my bank card, cancelled it, then found it, and it was then useless, so I had to destroy it. But it meant that come the convention day, all I had with me was cash, which I thought would be a big issue. The internet signal in there was so bad that a lot of vendors were quite happy that I had cash. But then the other issue was that the convention centre had gone cash free, so I couldn't buy any food from any of the hot food places. On the convention floor, I've been caught out loads of times. Sometimes I've only had card and the card reader's gone down and then I haven't been able to buy the products that I'm after, which can be very frustrating. So cards and cash, make sure you take both, but also make sure you have some kind of budget and make sure you've got some money to one side so you can buy some lunch. And very importantly, you've got some money to one side to get home. You don't want to get stranded at the convention. Finally, on the subject of money, get it before you get to the convention centre. Once you're in the convention, there'll probably be big queues of people who didn't get their money first thing. Also, convention cash points do run out of money. There's not an unlimited supply in there. So to recap, you've got some money, you've got bank card, you've got some comfy footwear, put some clothes on, and then check the weather, dress accordingly, but also bear in mind, convention insides don't reflect the world outside. So it might be boiling outside, but then cold in the convention. And then it might rain as well. So take something warm that you can take off if it gets too hot. And then maybe keep a really light rain mac in your backpack. And a bag is vital. It's up to you what kind of bag, whether it's a backpack, a satchel, messenger style bag, but make sure it is suitable for you. It has good storage, good organisation. Is there a water bottle holder? Just what features does it have? Consider all of that, but also consider the size. We all want to enjoy ourselves, so don't go bothering people by having a giant bag that bumps everyone. You'll make your life a lot easier to negotiate the convention floor if you have a sensible sized bag that does fit all the stuff in that you've got and can fit in a few purchases, but you don't want some giant suitcase strapped to your back. It'll be heavy, it'll be hard to get around, and you probably won't enjoy yourself. But hold up, what goes in the bag? Definite things to take, I would say, is a tote bag. Be really useful for any extra purchases. Water bottle, don't want to get dehydrated. Anything else you want to put in, stick it in, but be sensible. You've got to carry it. So don't take anything that's really heavy that you probably won't use. Food and drink, vital for sustaining your life. You don't want to be that person that skips a load of meals and then ends up fainting and ruins your convention day. So first of all, start your day with a good breakfast. I'm not going to lecture you on healthy breakfasts or unhealthy breakfasts or anything like that. Just make sure you have something that's filling and will help sustain you to make sure you have a good day. I like to have porridge with peanut butter or peanut butter on toast. Obviously crunchy peanut butter. I'm not insane. For food during the day, there's a whole bunch of options. Cheapest and easiest is to either make or buy a sandwich. Avoid anything that's messy. You don't want anything that will leak in your bag. You don't want to have to deal with all that. Obviously, if you're feeling indulgent and you just want to be a bit lazy, you can just buy some food at the convention, but bear in mind it's expensive. The quality's not particularly great. It's okay, but then when you factor in the cost, the food's nowhere near good enough for the amount of money it will cost you. Plus, you'll have to wait in line. If you avoid lunch times or busy periods, you can sometimes get served really quickly. But if you want to go during peak lunchtime, expect to be in a big queue, expect to hand over £10, £15, and at best get an adequate tasting meal. Another option is just to leave the convention. When I went to the spring edition of the London Film and Comic Con in February, I didn't really like the sandwich options on display, so I just came out, and the high street's right next door to the Olympia. Also, bring a few snacks with you, nothing that will melt, bring something sensible, nuts, trail mix, something easy to carry, and will tide you over until you can get something more substantial. But still enjoy getting some junk food at the convention. There's bound to be some nice cakes, brownies, biscuits, all sorts of stuff. You know me, I like a nice donut or some American chocolates and sweets. Everyone loves my food reviews, so make sure to enjoy just something that you wouldn't normally eat. So it's convention day, you've done everything, you've got your bag, you've got your ticket, you've got your money, everything's in order and ready. Make sure you get to the convention in good time. Some conventions are better than others with their queue systems. MCM, generally I've had really good experiences. Wales, Telford, for the first time had a really good queue, but equally I've been to conventions where the queues have been an absolute disaster. Being a right pig's ear, the queues have been going all over the place, you didn't really know where to go. Belgium was a good one. Me and Al got there, there was no one managing the queue, queued up with everyone else, got to the front, then found out with our VIP tickets we could have queue jumped and gone straight in. So make sure you allow yourself enough time to figure out the queue system. A lot of conventions will have a bag search, so just be prepared for that. Make sure you can actually open your bag properly and everything's not going to fall out and make a big mess. Just make your life as easy as possible. Once you're through with all the queuing, you should be into the main convention. You'll probably be spending a lot of your time on the convention floor. It's always divided into different sections. The main bit is normally the dealers area. This is basically a great big market selling all kinds of pop culture stuff. Pop vinyls, toys, comics, graphic novels, cards, board games, all sorts of stuff. If the stuff that you want to buy, don't necessarily buy it straight away. I've been stung with this before. I've bought something and then, I don't know, 5 stalls later, I've seen the same thing, even cheaper. If you're not sure about the price of something, Google it while you're there. I did say the internet can be bad in conventions, but if it's working properly, get on Google and just double check a price. A product to look out for and to avoid are mystery boxes. These have become like a convention plague. At one point, I remember we walked around London and it felt like almost every other stall was just loaded with mystery boxes. Often the boxes, the exteriors will look really cool and exciting and ooh, what's inside? Who knows? I do, and it's just normally a box of absolute garbage. We sat and watched some kids on a train on the way home that got a big Pokemon box. The outside looked very exciting, and as they unloaded it, they were just met with bitter disappointment. They kept Googling things and eBay or looking on eBay to check the price of stuff so they could sell it all on. For me, the main thing I look out for when I'm shopping are things that I wouldn't necessarily find on the high street or I wouldn't necessarily encounter when I'm browsing around online for stuff to buy. Look out for things that are maybe a bit more unique, a bit more rare, harder to find items. I've often found the easiest way to tackle the convention floor is in the same way that you tackle a supermarket and just go up and down the aisles. It makes it a lot easier to see everything. It hopefully will ensure that you don't miss anything. As you're going around, if there's something you do really want to buy, just try and make a mental note of where it is. Bigger conventions as well will have lots of signage hanging from the ceilings, so maybe make a note of that, take a photo of it, just give yourself the best chance of finding it again. Now the convention floor will be easier to negotiate in the morning before it gets busy, or in the afternoon once people have started to drift off home. But it can become very busy, could be quite claustrophobic. Even conventions that got really big aisles, it can get very crowded and hard to get around. Conventions often have seating areas or quieter areas, the kind of act as chill out zones or relaxation areas where you can either sit down, eat and have some drinks, or just sit down and get away from the crowds. So that's why it's important to plan your weekend. If you're not really a fan of crowds, have a look on the map before you go. Figure out where those quieter bits are likely to be so you can head there if it becomes too much for you. Or if even those spaces are a bit crowded, then look at going outside for a little bit. Some conventions will give you a wristband or a lanyard, but some will stamp your hand. So if you're going out and you're not sure about how to get back in, just ask one of the people that work at the convention how easy it is to get back in. I don't find it too overwhelming when it's crowded, but I find it very annoying. I really hate being buffeted as I walk around. To counteract this, I plan my weekend as well around the panels. Panels are a great way to get off the busy convention floor, to sit down. In a panel you can sit, have some lunch, have a drink, take a moment. Often the panels are really good, even if it's something that doesn't sound that interesting to you. MCM Birmingham before Christmas, I went to the Red Dead Redemption panel. I've never played that game. I don't really know anything about it, but the panel was really good. If you look at the panel and it sounds like something that you've never heard of and probably no one else has ever heard of, it could be a very quiet panel. So that's a really good place to head if you want to avoid crowds. Equally, bear in mind, if you head to a panel for a major celebrity like Tom Hiddleston, his panel, I think I walked straight into that and I got a seat really quickly, but the people who didn't go there early were stuck in a big queue. And once you were in there, it was very crowded, but you weren't all squashed together because everyone just stayed in their own chair. For a really big panel, you'll probably need to queue. For a major celebrity, I'd say you'd allow anything from an hour, 45 minutes at least to get there in good time. But a queue is also a good way to take stock. You can sit down if there's enough floor space. I've sat on the floor a few times. So be strategic with your queuing. Use this as an opportunity to get yourself in order, refresh, re-energize yourself, and be ready to enjoy the rest of your day. Final section, number 10. But stay tuned because even after this, I've got a load of quick fire tips for you. Now we're on to cosplay. I've done a few simple cosplays, nothing very complicated. So I'm far from an expert or a voice of all cosplayers, but I'll do my best to give you some useful tips. If you are going in cosplay, consider the practicalities of transporting your costume there, getting changed into your costume, the costume that you're wearing, where is your wallet going to go? Have you got some refreshment with you? These are all just things to think about. You don't want to dehydrate. Have you got someone who's going to be with you? Can they carry your stuff? Just have a good think about the logistics of your costume. What are you going to do if your costume gets damaged? Are you going to take a repair kit with you? Lots of conventions increasingly have cosplay areas that even include repair bays. So again, do a bit of research on this. Check if there's somewhere that will have a hot glue gun that can patch you up until you can get some more major repairs done later on. So the other side of cosplaying is non-cosplayers, people like me, and we all need to remember that cosplayers are actual people, so don't grab them or poke them or prod them or yell at them. Wayward hands might damage a cosplay, so just keep your hands off other people. You wouldn't grab your work colleagues, would you? So hands to yourself, keep your opinions to yourself. If you really like a cosplay, let them know. If you don't like it, keep that to yourself. No one needs to be brought down. Everyone's trying to enjoy their day. Photos, fine to take photos, but just ask before you do. Just go over and politely say, mind if I grab a quick photo? People like having their photo taken most of the time. They don't if they're in the bathroom or if they're sitting down eating their food. Give the cosplayers a chance to present their costume how they'd like to present it, rather than, standing over a urinal. Just be nice, be sensible. We're all trying to have a good time. Before we get into the quickfire tips, leave a comment below. What are your Comic-Con tips? What have you found is useful for you? I'm always learning. I want to make my day better. Hopefully I'm going to help you make yours better. Tell me some of your tips. Tell everyone else your tips. Share, share, share. Know your size. What size are you? I've bought the wrong size t-shirt a bunch of times and I've ended up giving it to my sister or to a charity shop. So before you go, just make sure you're confident you know what size you are, or ask if the seller will let you try on whatever item it is you want to buy. Have a spam email account. There's lots of things that want you to sign up for them. Most of them will just send you a load of garbage. So have a spare email address to hand that you can write down or just make it up on the spot. I've put loads of nonsense at hotmail.coms in the past because I don't want to get loads of junk email. If you had a wash today, make sure you have a wash. And when you do have a wash, put some bloody deodorant on. Fortunately for me, I don't have a very good sense of smell, so this does not affect me. I've been in super stinky rooms and not even realised. Maybe it's me that smells, hopefully not, but it does bother everyone else. So my final tip is to just be nice, say hello to people, smile at people, be friendly. Everyone's there for the same reason, to have a good time. So spread some joy and enjoy yourselves and make sure everyone else enjoys themselves. So fellow explorers, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what you thought, and I will see you at the next convention.